I believe we are all made with light, and light is hope. This podcast brings authors who write stories of hope to all of you. Your journey to be inspired and amplified by these stories starts.
And we are live. Here we are, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And Kathryn Ramati, we are thrilled to have you here as an awesome guest. And I can't wait to dive into the name of your book, Befriend Yourself. What an awesome title. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then share what you want about the book.
Thank you so much. I love the introduction to your podcast because my book definitely is about hope. I wrote this book after I started meditating at the age of 16. So the book does talk about meditation quite a bit because it changed my life when I was a depressed teenager about to get kicked out of school. And then I did a meditation course. It was more of a mind development, personal development course. And learned a lot about meditation and how to set goals using your mind and visualization. So it turned my life around. I ended up going to college, getting a psychology degree because I wanted to learn more about the brain and the mind. Because honestly, it really did make a huge difference in my life. So I started teaching meditation in my dorm room, but of course, way back then, no one really, I was a fringe person. These days, everyone knows what meditation is, even if they haven't even tried it. But through the years, I worked, had different careers in television, actually, and then I moved to Boston, and I started teaching meditation there more regularly. And as my children got older, I had more time. Then I had to move to California for my daughter to train on the Olympic team. And she did just win a silver medal at the Olympics in artistic swimming. But we moved to California and I started teaching at a large medical facility called Kaiser Permanente. And I was a health educator. So I was teaching people who are insomniacs a course to improve their sleep. I was teaching obese people that the doctor would send to my classes on medical weight management, where we would do a 30-week course to teach them new healthy habits. And I used mindfulness and meditation in both of those. I did anxiety, depression classes. So as a health educator, I really had to teach a lot of different imbalances with different people. But you know what I found was there was one common thread through every imbalance, and that was a lack of self-compassion, self-love. A lot of these people weren't treating their bodies like something they love. They pretty much hated their bodies. They hated what they were thinking about all day. They hated their work. They hated themselves. And I talk about this in my book. So the book is really for everybody. And it was also kind of a beginner's book for people who have never meditated before. So I talk about self-love, meditation as a path to that inner peace, and then love that is within everybody, and world peace. Because we can have world peace, because we can turn that me love into we love. And Wayne Dyer and all those great teachers of wisdom tradition, philosophers all said, you can't give what you don't have. So we will fill our cup of self-love until it overflows, and we have something authentic and valuable to give back to the world. But first, we have to accept where we are now, and we have to get out of that cycle of self-loathing. And I even have a self-love test in the book where people love taking it because they think, oh, I'll probably do okay. And they surprise themselves on how many symptoms show up in different ways in our life? But lack of self-love shows up, different ways. And the self-love test is quite revealing.
I bet it is. That is really, really interesting to see first. The concept of you can't give from an empty well, understand all of those things, but you might not realize that you're the one depleting your own well, if that makes sense, right? Because of
Absolutely.
all of those hate or lack of, or I'm not good enough, you name it. And so your supports within the book helps people to discover, well, wait a minute, maybe I can shut that part off or turn it down or learn how to combat it or what have you, right? Those are the different kinds of opportunities for the people when they read your book.
Well, the book is full of tips and techniques for increasing self-compassion rather than trying to block out self-hate. What we're doing is we're learning to prioritize our health and happiness because we're giving to everyone else but ourselves. But I begin each chapter with a Buddha quote. And the Buddha and the Buddhists are huge on self compassion. And one of his most famous quotes is that no one in the entire universe is more deserving of your love than yourself. So, really, people have to prioritize and not be the last on the list to give yourself that compassion and that time and that self care, because otherwise, you can't be there for all those people that are depending on you. People think it's selfish. Oh, it's narcissistic and selfish to have self care and take care of yourself. But no, it's the opposite.
Yeah. In those opposite moments, when we start to realize what is really like, what has been a moment with all of the different people you have educated, what happens when they realize their aha moment? What do they usually say back to you?
Well, when they have their aha moment, it's usually at a very private time. And I get messages sent to me and emails from people who are so grateful. And it's something different for everyone each time that alerts them to the fact that, hey, I really have been neglecting myself. And the aha moment is just like a sigh of relief. It's like, oh, I can let my guard down a little bit. People are still going to love me and appreciate me, even though I have boundaries now. And I can actually say, no, I'm sorry. I really can't give you a ride to the airport tonight. And you don't have to tell them that you're having a bubble bath and that your feet are sore and you're exhausted and you just can't move another inch. But you can tell yourself that and just say, no, thank you, I'm sorry.
Yes. In that no, thank you, I'm sorry, there is a moment possibly of guilt and oh no. How does one overcome that?
The guilt of
Yeah. If they've
sorry.
always been a yes person
Yeah, there's
and
a lot of that. And I think the only way to overcome it is experience it and find out that people are actually very kind. People are actually very supportive. And I also often tell people to reach out for help and support and don't think that you're going to be judged or you feel not enough in some way because you have to ask for help. Because why do people volunteer in charities? Because it makes them feel good. And so when you ask someone for a little help and support, it makes them feel good that they can be of service. They can like, oh yeah, I want to help you. I didn't know you needed help. So it's another aha moment that people finally realize it's easier than they think, and that people are kinder than they think, and more. And guess what? They'll ask someone else, so they're off the hook pretty easily. They don't. They in their mind thought they were the only person that could help them, but no. When you're not available, they'll find other people and other ways.
That is really relieving for so many, I think, because that it's an interesting trap of I'm the only one, only one, only one. And we possibly box ourselves into that space when really there are other ways. And people, like you said, it is a connection, and people will help. And the asking for it is, it's just part of learning, right? And we weren't meant to go through this life trying to do it all yourself, what have you. Because then when the mistakes happen, and if you don't have a healthy mindset or love within yourself, you begin to just harp on yourself.
Yeah.
And then what? You feel worse, and the thing's still not done or supported, and we still didn't ask for help.
Yeah, and then you feel worse. And that's what I described in the first chapter is the cycle of self-loathing. And I give really practical tips on how to exit that cycle. There are a lot of exit points. And it's just a matter of trying. Because people are scared to try. They're scared to ask. They're scared to be, show that they're not, 100% perfectly efficient or what. It's a lot of people are perfectionists, and perfectionism is very stressful. And who said you had to be perfect? We're all human. We're all perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, placing that aside and just going and rolling with things, it's good. And it's there can be some challenges, like so as a teacher, if things pop up, do our best to have plans and a backup plan. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the backup plan didn't work. So we just have to let it go, try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, a lot of the questions. And there's many times I'm like, I don't know, I'm sorry. We'll just have to see, because we're working with other humans that are maybe smaller and they're still within that learning journey, and we'll just try again. It doesn't mean that we make a decision at that moment
Mm-hmm.
that would determine the rest of whatever. We can make a decision in the moment for safety or for what have you. But as simple as it sounds, the sun comes out the next day and there's more opportunity to try again. And for myself, that allowing to let go
Mm-hmm.
and try again tomorrow
Mm-hmm.
is fine. It's fine. It's part of that love. And it's part of the love for the kids in the classroom, because they're not going to get it perfect either. And it's interesting because I don't feel like consciously we're thinking about all of that, but sometimes the behavior or the actions stress to that point, and then you kind of pull back and you're like, oh, I forgot. They're 13. It's okay.
Yeah.
We still got to work on this.
And you're setting an example for them by lightening up on yourself, not being so hard on yourself, having a joke, having a laugh, being human. Hey, I make mistakes too, and that's giving them permission to just be themselves and lighten up a little. Because, especially teenagers, they're always comparing themselves to each other. That's a very stressful time. So it's a matter of not being such a control freak, and this is where meditation comes into play as a fantastic wellness tool, because meditation and mindfulness is the art of staying in the present moment, because we have 80 to 100,000 thoughts every day. Most of those thoughts are repetitive. worrying about the past, what happened, trying to change what already happened, playing it over and over in your mind, thinking you could change, you can't, it's over. Why waste your time? But that's what people do. So they create stress that way. Then the other half is the thoughts about the future. You're feeling anxiety about what's going to happen here, there, everywhere in your life. What is going to happen in the future? So you can't control that either, just as you said. Things happen. You can plan, you can budget, you can plan the perfect vacation, and you're still going to lose your bags, and the plane's going to be late, or something's going to happen. So why worry? You know? So the best thing is to learn to meditate, learn to manage the stress, but have those moments of just all is well, right here and now, and keep your thoughts now and then. Just come back from the past, come back from the future, and stay here. Meditation trains your mind to do that. And it's so relaxing and it's so good for your health.
Right. Lowering that blood pressure
Yeah.
and allowing the heart to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really feels great. And it's interesting. I'm just going to use this example, like with pets. For
Yeah.
many people, petting and having an accompaniment of some type of a pet, a cat, a dog, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone pick your own pet. I'm not
Yeah.
here to pick one or the other. Just enjoy whatever you're doing, stroking. And it's funny because it's almost a distraction away from where we were. And by the time we've done all the love and everything, we find ourselves kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
ah.
Well, pets teach us that. Pets teach us unconditional love and forgiveness. When you walk in the door, they don't turn their back on you and say, "Oh, yeah, you really blew it today." You know, I mean, they love you. Their tails wagging no matter what kind of day you had. And we could learn a lot from that.
Yeah. And that, I think sometimes, like for myself, when I'm thinking about that idea of the pet, thinking about, well, going into meditation could possibly feel that same way. Why not give it a try? Right. Or some, I mean, I don't know. It's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe worry or fear of things and
Mm.
getting closer to a moment and just staying with it
Yeah.
and opening up that idea of you're loved, you're worth more than you can even understand,
Mhm.
and just believe it.
Yeah.
Look what happens when you haven't believed it. Not good things. Why don't
Absolutely.
you try it? Try the
Absolutely.
opposite way.
That's one of the things in the test is, do you trust your decisions? Are you a procrastinator? Can you make decisions? A lot of people are procrastinating because they really don't trust their own decisions. But yeah, so I do have a practical applications, journaling prompts, meditations for them to try, because I do have my own meditation app called Tranquil Me. It's available at the App Store. And the app has all these great guided meditations that go with each chapter of the book.
Wonderful. That is a great understanding with the chapter. So tell me how the title came about. It's a wonderful title.
Well, I mean, basically, I through all my meditations, I think it was because I wrote a meditation called Self Love for the Sedona Yoga Festival, which I was presenting every year. And they said, we want something totally original. So that's where the whole self-love thing really took shape. Was I wrote a special guided journey to self-love for them. And everyone loved it at this festival. So I realized I've been telling people that you have to find out, how do you speak to yourself as a clue? How do you speak to yourself? And you'll find, and people say, oh, I'm so mean. I call myself names. I swear at myself. I call myself a big, ugly, fat pig if I'm on the couch. I don't go to my exercise class, and I would never talk to anyone else that way. So it's like, it made me realize we need to change that inner harsh critic, that inner voice, which we can be our own worst enemy. What's the opposite of that? You want to be your own best friend. So you want to speak to yourself as a loved one. That's the first step in increasing self-love, is to catch yourself, that inner voice when you're mean, and befriend yourself. That's how it came up. And then I added the byline, the self-love path to peace, because, meditation's the path to peace. Self-love is, you have more peace in your life, and then you can spread that peace. So I'm on the mission to spread peace, one peaceful person at a time, however long that takes.
Wonderfully said. It's like it's a secret that's out in the open.
Yeah.
That people, I believe that they put it as a secret because it can't possibly happen. Oh, for all of you, it works great, but I'm different. It's not going to work for me. So because of fear, because of the lies, because of whatever, you don't deserve it, you name it. And I hear in my mind sometimes, well, how that's working out for you so far. Not really great. Maybe we can just give it a try, right? And see what happens. And I think it's so interesting. There might be people, or maybe this is the question, have people started courses with you and quit because, oh, it worked for you, but not for me. I told you it wouldn't, or whatever.
I got to tell you, most people are very interested in learning more about themselves. So I only had maybe one or two people quit my course. And that's just a small number, such a small number, the thousands that have done it. And so I think people love learning about themselves. They love learning about their brain and their mind and how they can use it to better their lives and the lives of others. So, yeah, honestly, I think it relates to absolutely everyone, male, female, all ages. Everyone's ready for more self-love.
I think that is awesome. And I love how you're on a mission, one peaceful, conversion at a time. Let's go get that idea of having that love and knowing that you are important to have that. And the secret, you will be able to give and do the things that you wanted because you know the love is full. It's amazing. It's awesome.
The only people that wouldn't want to do it is because they don't think they deserve it. So they need it more than anyone.
Truth. That's awesome. So, Kathryn, you've talked about an app, you've talked about the book, you've talked about this test. Well, where can we get all of these things?
Oh, yeah. So it's really easy. My book is available at Barnes & Noble online, and you can even go into any bookstore and ask for it, and they can order it in for you if they don't have it. And it's on Amazon. So everyone has Amazon. Just go on there, befriend yourself, Kathryn Ramati. And it's great. And please send me write a nice review. There's a few reviews up there already, and us writers really need more reviews. So I appreciate that.
Wonderful. Well, I hope that this has been supportive and helpful, and to remind people that the concept of becoming a friend to yourself, a best friend, and sharing words of love and of hope with yourself almost will mirror out to share that more and more with others. And I hope that as those connections with self and with others, with that peace and that love, that hope can really channel through and more lives can be changed. I think that would be
And the world
awesome.
will be a more peaceful place.
Agreed. Wouldn't that be awesome? Very, very cool. Well, thank you again, Kathryn. And for all of you, make sure you grab that book off of Amazon, put down a review, help her to be able to share this hope and love to other people. And if you know someone, we do have the holidays coming up soon. So grab this book, share it with someone that you love, share it with yourself if you are one that needs this love. And know that the changes that can happen work, and trust the process. Well, thank you again, Kathryn, for being part of the Beacon of Light podcast and sharing this hope with all of us. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.